Hey everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about some Udemy stock technical analysis as well as what happens when a bunch of employees and people in the industry get fed up and leave. Alright, so let's take a look at the Udemy stock here. So yesterday was kind of, a grim day. I think it was down a bit here and then it just went down a lot more. And if we take a look at basically the 6 months here, all the way down, we have 37% down from open. We have 41% down from the IPO price. And we also have 45% down from the all-time high. Now, I just want to take a quick look at a technical analysis here. So this is kind of a little thing that I drew from the all-time high. Now, of course, technical analysis, doesn't really give you the exact kind of thing that you need to do. It just gives you kind of a roadmap here. And as you can see, there is some fairly hard resistance here going down and down and down. So until this line is really breached here. Now, of course, there's a couple things you could do. You can ignore some of these candles, wicks there. But essentially, this is a pretty good roadmap. And you can see that, it has been trying to hit resistance, not so much. It tried to break resistance again. Tried to break resistance here, and then it hasn't done that here. So you can expect this to play out even further. So now, unless this goes really above this mark here, then you can expect more downside, right? It's basically, here. And now, again, I don't think Udemy's a short. I wouldn't play it that way. But that's essentially what has happened since. And if we take a look, what day is this here? This is the since November here. So this is the hour chart, I believe. Yes, it's the hour chart. And for a stock like this, the hour chart isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's pretty indicative of what's going on here, and you can kind of see that this is definitely the roadmap here. So you basically have to get above this line before we go any further. So let's take a look at an article that came across my desk, and then this here is so this is something what happens about with Ubisoft or Ubisoft, however you want to pronounce it here. Now, what this article is that there's a lot of people leaving. Okay. Now, I'd like to talk about the e-learning industry that should be more like the game industry. And it should, because there's just a lot. It's just a lot better set up. And even in the game industry, it's difficult, right? And a lot of people, specifically at Ubisoft, because I used to know some people who work there, as specifically the Toronto branch as well. And what they told me is there was a guy there that left at 5 o'clock every day, and this was apparently really audacious of him to do that. So there's a lot of hardworking people in the game industry, and the companies themselves, they obviously make people work hard because it's of quote unquote fun work. But the thing is that these hard working conditions are leaving people to just leave. And remember, I say that the biggest and most bearish case for Udemy is that it doesn't attract talent here, right? So, when it comes to making and doing this, it's difficult. And despite what anyone else says, it is a lot more difficult than it sounds, dealing with the poor reviews, the customers, the recording of the, making the course itself, the variable income, all of it is very difficult to do. Now, again, one, I guess, could say it's like, well, you should make game courses versus making games. And, I can tell you that making games is difficult, but a little bit more fun when you get to work with people. But making courses is nowhere near as fun, right? It's definitely dirty work in terms of a lot if you ever watched that show, Dirty Jobs, in terms of making these tech courses for Udemy, it's basically like the dirty job of the tech world. Nobody wants to do it. And so, even with the best of companies, people are leaving. And there's a couple things I wanted to cite here. Let's see. Basically, well, they're mostly upset with the company, but there was a part where they gave them raises. Okay, so they gave them raises, and that kind of slowed the people leaving. But then all the other studios that Ubisoft has said, "Hey, where's my raise?" Right? I'm going to leave too. So, even if they pay them more, it doesn't, people get fed up. And this is just something that I've noticed, in myself compared to older people. And I noticed this with younger people compared to myself as well. So, me, younger people, older people, etc. So, the younger you are, the more likely you are to hop between jobs. Right? It's, and the older you are, the less likely to do that. And it's not really young people being flaky. It's, a lot of times it just comes down to they need something to do that's a little bit different. The older you are, the more you really view work as like, kind of like your duty. And then the younger you are, well, I mean, this is kind of broad strokes, but I notice that a lot of more young people, they tend to want to do different things. Even if they like their job, they like to do different things. So, it's partly a cultural shift that people want to do this. But the point is that retention is difficult, and Udemy is just not really addressing that retention. And there could be, there could be this could be a much better industry if they just allowed the marketplace to be scalable. And if the marketplace was scalable, then businesses could buy out other courses, etc. They could charge a subscription. And this is going to probably happen a little bit more on Thinkific. And I'm going to talk about that in another video. But Thinkific really, really changed the e-learning game this year. And I'll be doing a whole video about that. But nevertheless, when it comes to being burnt out, it can happen. And it really does happen. And I can tell you that when you work really hard at your job, and it does take a lot of work, before I had employees, like I would work, well, probably more than a 9 to 5, because I'd work weekends too. And then again, I did things a little bit differently. But the thing is that when it comes to the top instructors, they might be able to make a course, and then they might be able to get hire somebody to do some extra work or get volunteers, and it might be good for them. But the other thing is that if you stay too long, like if being a course creator is not really your goal, you might just want to get another job for your career. Like, this is a possible thing that you can do, right? And I get, sometimes I get really good offers. Like, they force me to move. That, this is all before the pandemic here, and sometimes during the pandemic too. But like they want me to move there and become like a tech lead or something, and I would make more money doing a tech lead at like a FANG company, versus making an instructor here. But then again, I have to move my family and all that stuff. So I'm not really sure I want to do that, but it is an option for me, right? And it's an option for a lot of the other people, especially if you live in some of the areas where these companies are, right? It's kind of hard to say, oh, well, we'll pay you, a hefty 6-figure amount plus stock options and full benefits. That's very nice when you work for a company like that. Like, it's really, really nice. And so the point is that, again, I've always said the most bearish case for Udemy is that they won't be able to find talent. Now, of course, there's a lot of bullish cases for Udemy, right? I talk a lot about the bearish cases, especially when you see like these big declines here. But e-learning isn't going anywhere. Udemy has a really good brand, and they just need to tweak things so that instructors have a lot more control over what they do. And just by giving them that control, what it will do is it will lead to more sales. And I don't think Udemy HQ or the headquarters there don't really understand that. But if you make it scalable for businesses like mine to make $10 million a year on Udemy, gross, of course, not net, then yeah, I think that a lot of things will change, because with that money comes value and competition and better products and better customer satisfaction, the whole thing, right? So that's pretty much what I wanted to say here. You're more than welcome to read this whole article and see what they're saying, but essentially you could apply some of this to the top instructors at Udemy, and if they leave, it's very difficult to replace these people, because if you're making courses on Thinkific, it's going to be better to do that probably a year from now. Thinkific is going to be a much better alternative to selling courses other than Udemy, and there's a lot to talk about with that. All right, so that concludes this video. I want to know your thoughts down below. Do you think the rate that Udemy will bleed top instructors will lead to a downfall in the price, or do you think that they're doing everything correctly? I want to know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.